Welcome to Rock Your Talk. I'm Leisa Reid, your host and founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now, trainer at Productive Learning, and I'm very excited to bring you some expert tips, especially given our circumstances these days with COVID-19. I wanted to reach out to some experts and see what, from their perspective, how can they best help you? How are they helping their clients? How are they pivoting? And today I have an expert, Tim Seavey with Vizolutions, and he is a pretty amazing guy. You're going to learn a little bit about him. Tim, tell us a little bit about, who you are and what Vizolutions does.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to get to chat about this. So as you mentioned, my name is Tim Seavey and I'm the co-owner of Vizolutions that is all about online visibility. So we're a search engine optimization company, but we really specialize in making sure that people's online image is like a fair representation of what their public image is. It's become, as you can imagine, especially popular right now as no one has that same word of mouth kind of spread. Like people aren't going out and networking in the same ways. So online is becoming an increasingly important part of people's online image and reputation.
From what I understand about Vizolutions, it's so much more than this, but this is where, like, gosh, if you need some organic search traffic, or, you're like wondering, how are people going to find my website? How are people going to find my business? It's about utilizing the tools. And I think you have like an arsenal of those tools to help people get found more easily online. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So where people typically think of SEO or search engine optimization is getting a website to the top of Google, because it's not, random the order in which things show up online. But we take a more holistic approach to that in ensuring that people's Google business, their Facebook business, their LinkedIn, their Yelp,
right? Yeah.
all the different places. Exactly. It's casting a broad net of all the places where people may search for businesses, find products, and find services. All of those channels are in solid alignment with the reputation of the company.
And I know it's like one of those things where a lot of times as business owners, we hear like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. But it honestly takes time. It takes someone to be looking at that part of the business, right? And like watching all the reporting and the statistics and the analytics and tweaking, right? And getting
Sure.
it all set up. So I think that's a big service that you guys can help take the load off business owners, right?
Yeah, and I'm glad that you bring that up. Like, while there is a lot that goes into an effective marketing campaign, all of the tracking and ensure that you're going for conversions and that you've got the the right sites dialed in to track all calls coming in, et cetera. There's a lot of complexity to it, but there's also a lot of simple things that business owners can be doing right now to take advantage of some of the things that may be pipelines that they didn't even know existed. So
Right.
oftentimes that's where we'll speak to people. We'll have presentations in large formats, or very fortunately things like this. So I'm glad that we've got this interaction today so that we can share just some of those tips that people can do at any time to get themselves set up online.
Awesome. Yeah. So hit us with tip number one. What you got for those business owners out there who are like, how can I get more business right now in COVID-19? What can I do? What you got?
Yeah,
Tim?
absolutely. So the three things, just as a preview, that everyone I think maybe has in the back of their mind that they've wanted to do it, or when the busy week is going on and they've meant to be doing this, now is really the time that we have to dedicate and actually get it done. So the first is putting up a small blog post on a website and making it very clear how your business is pivoting. So I think there's lots of meetings and things. We've now been in this quarantine for a couple of weeks. People have at least got a good idea of how they're going to address it, what changes they're going to make, but it's about ensuring that everyone else knows what those changes are. So it's setting a blog post, it's posting that on Google, it's ensuring that it's on Yelp. And those are really like three of the core areas I think that can be a big piece. So first, to the blog post, if you've even got just 2 paragraphs of content mentioning how your business has been impacted, what your real mission is, and this is a great time. I'm glad I get to talk to you about it, because I know this is so important to your business and what you do, of ensuring that mission and ensuring that message is consistent. And that blog post can become kind of the lead domino in a whole spread of message beyond that. So it doesn't have to be a lot of information, but just putting up a blog post and then sharing that post on a LinkedIn page, both a professional page as well as a personal page. That's the first thing that can be really valuable. So a lot of our clients are seeing that that's a great shift. So that's kind of the first piece of it, because that content is now then shareable in LinkedIn and on Facebook and on channels that people are spending a lot more time on anyways. So getting that visibility. And don't be embarrassed. I think there's some businesses that have said like, well, we've never blogged, we've never put up information, or we hardly ever use X, Y, or Z. There's no better time than now to dust that off and just get something out there. So putting together a small post of how you're making that change, posting it on LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. So that's the first thing. The second thing is taking advantage of some of the more unique channels that I think tend to be neglected, but that are really valuable right now. I mean, everyone goes to find information. Research nowadays means going online. So one of the first channels that people go to, obviously, is Google. And Google Business is trying to do a lot right now, particularly with COVID-19, to make some adjustments. So going on your Google Business page as a company, and if you don't have one, just going to business.google.com and ensuring that you have claimed and set up your profile. That's a first very important step, because that's how people find out, for the most part, if a company is even open. They assume that a lot of people may not be changing their website, they may not be editing things, but Google is like the first line of, well, is this restaurant still open? Is this, material store still working? Are these contractors still available? That's your first line to let people know that you're still open, or if you've modified, how that change is made. So business.google.com and set that up.
A lot of businesses don't take advantage of having that Google Business listing. They don't even realize that A, it's free, or B, that, I mean, of all people, wouldn't you want Google to know where you are and where your business is? Because that's what most people are going to use their search. And it's funny, I have a question for you, and maybe we'll wait until you don't need to answer, but I want to get your advisement later, because I have a Google Business page for the Get Speaking Gigs Now, which I created a while ago, and it is being suspended, and I don't know why. And I'm like, it says, did you read all the guidelines? I'm like, there's like a ton of guidelines, and I'm like, I haven't even done anything. What did I do? So maybe you can help me if that offline.
Did you get your de facto law degree in reading through our terms and conditions?
Like, I just said the website. What? Anyway, so what's tip number 3?
No, yeah. So to the point though, dusting off, whatever's accumulated, like sometimes people may not know that those areas exist. Now's a good time to tackle that. So setting up the products and services and the details on your Google Business page so that people know if you're open and what you're offering. The third piece is on Yelp. Now, Yelp, as I always thought, was really just for restaurants, and that was kind of the end of it. But over the last 2 or 3 years, that's become a huge piece of Vizolutions business. So we're actually a Yelp certified partner. And that means that we, first off, can be the first line of defense. So people that are constantly getting spammed by calls from Yelp, they no longer get those once they're on our list. So that's just valuable in itself. But being a Yelp certified agency, we get to see the inside of Yelp and get to be the direct, conduit between Yelp and the company. And we're not paid anything by Yelp, so we can give really honest, good feedback on what's going on, what's valuable, what are the best tools to take advantage of. So I'm in conversation with Yelp every day right now at the agency level, learning about a lot of the programs they're doing for free to try and help businesses. So if you don't already have a Yelp page, setting one up at biz.yelp.com is a really valuable thing if you don't already have one. But most businesses that are taking advantage of that, as it really is growing in the small business sector, so many law firms and contractors and convenience stores, like everything that is consumer facing really drives through Yelp these days. And it's a valuable channel because people care about that social proof. Right now, they're offering free business highlights. So those are badges that you can add onto your profile that says, hey, we're open virtually right now. We are available for remote appointments. We are doing delivery. Whatever adjustment is made, that's a service they normally charge for that they're offering free to everyone. And as I understand it, they're actually giving free ads to restaurants right now, which is incredible. I can't imagine how much that is. So yeah, so there's a lot of programs, I think, that between Google and Yelp, as well as other channels, that they're offering free right now to make sure that this exact thing is happening, that businesses are able to get the word out about how they're adjusting when it's not quite so easy just to walk in and ask.
And then for people who are listening, if you're listening out there and you're like, oh, I could use some support or some expert help on that, how would they get a hold of you, Tim? You might want to spell it Vizolutions, V-I-Z.
Yep, it's the combination of the word visibility and solutions. So that's where Vizolutions came from. So V-I-Z and solutions. So V-I-Z-O-L-U-T-I-O-N-S Inc.com. So it's a long URL, but I'm sure that'll be in the show notes. We'll have a short link to it. So you can always contact us through there, and happy to help with anything as far as recommendations. But we also have packages that we can set up all those profiles for companies that just are running around with their hair on fire. We're meeting quite a few companies that are really hit hard, as well as plenty that are absolutely like blown the doors off right now because their demand has gone up. Like, cybersecurity is unbelievable right now where that demand is.
Oh
So
yeah.
they don't have time to tackle those things. So that's where we're able to help, and happy to in any way. Like, it's obviously impacting all of us, and anything that we can do to support.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and I love getting all, the different expert tips, because we can all bring some kind of gift to the situation that we're in, and tools and
Yeah.
opportunities. And like with productive learning, we are continuing on. We're pivoting. We've moved from all live. We've over 25 years of live workshops to, okay, we've always wanted to bring a virtual digital option. Now's the time. And I know you actually got to experience, I think, one of our very last, actually, I think it was the
I think
very
it was
last
the last.
live
Yeah.
workshop. We had one was it Pismo Beach was where you were, right?
Yeah, it was absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, so I was so fortunate to get to be like that last workshop. So on the drive back down was when I heard, they're
It
closing
was like,
schools, they're shutting down everything.
yeah.
So yeah, that workshop, I am so grateful that we got to fit that in. It was called Make the Leap, and it was all about being very intentional about the goals that you're setting, how you go about removing obstacles, and then setting very detailed paths forward on how to accomplish it. So I felt like I was cheating. This whole quarantine thing was like, well, I've already got the playbook. All
You're
I
like,
have to do
I
is
know what
just
I'm
execute
doing.
things. Yeah, exactly. So I was really grateful for that. But as far as the adjustment, I'm really glad. You were just telling me a minute ago that now this content that was previously entirely all in person is now, you said it was like 4 o'clock every day that they're doing through the
Yeah,
Productive Learning
there's a
page.
Facebook Live at 4 o'clock every day, or
Nice.
Monday through Friday, with 20-minute content. Beautiful. Cassie Crow leads it. It's incredible. But then we since your workshop Make the Leap, the last live one, and I think we had diversions, or no, yeah, we were in diversions, which was our last live workshop. We did our one of our closing weekends for our year long. We did a virtual with 44 people. It was phenomenal. It was
Oh,
amazing.
wow.
Everybody was like so blown away by how incredibly powerful it was. So we're like, okay,
Nice.
we can still connect emotionally and
Yeah.
really make an impact through this new version. And then we're going to be offering another one in late April, anxiety to empowerment, which is very,
Yeah,
very relevant. And
absolutely.
so, and if you want to, I know these are a little more date driven here. So for evergreen, if you're seeing this and it's like you saw this video when it was a year old, you can just go to productivelearning.com and check out what we've got going on. We'll have digital and real live events. I know we will have those soon.
Yeah.
I know we are all ready to engage with human beings again. I know I
Yeah,
am.
this adjustment to doing everything remote is definitely, it's a challenge, but I think as people are starting to adapt to the new normal for, as long as
Yeah.
this is, I think it's a unique, kind of cool sort of connection. I've been on a few calls at this point that are, 20, 30 people, and you come away from it like you were just at the same meeting, like the same group, the
Absolutely.
same interaction. It still feels great to make people laugh and hear their cool stories and hear how they're adjusting and helping people. So it's not that everyone's out of business. It's just that everyone is doing it differently.
We're pivoting, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes it's pivoting. How quickly can you pivot? And also just the which I think you were touching on with your own mindset coming out of that workshop, and kind of your own EQ of like, how quickly can I internally, uh, you know, calm the fear, calm the anxiety,
Yeah.
stay focused, be intentional about what I still want to do, even though there's all this external stuff happening well beyond our control, well beyond our
Yeah.
control. But what can we focus in on? How can we look at our internal, what we have in our hands to control, and breathing, and
Yeah.
opening up that creativity again.
Really. Like, I feel like that should be the opening to every webinar or conference
Probably.
call at this point. Like, and everyone,
Look
okay, and now
down. The
start.
ground is here. You're here. You can breathe. You're here. Yes. So it is challenging and an opportunity as well. So I appreciate what you were sharing. Just those tips are great. So
Yeah.
anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, that structure. I just on that same point. So as I maybe mentioned with coming out of Make the Leap, the focus, or one of the things that came away, at least as I experienced, I don't know if it's a common one, of just not having structure ends up leading to like spending 10 calories in 1,000 directions. So you're super tired, but it doesn't feel like you've really got anywhere. So instead, being intentional with what a schedule looks like and following that schedule. So even when it feels like it's just nothing but chaos around us, maybe don't open the news quite as frequently. Instead,
Yeah.
focus on, all right, what does this next hour look like? Be intentional through that process. Follow a schedule. Have some kind of structured regimen, even if it's something that's, fun. So I've got like a daily workout with other people that we get on remotely, and it's every day at 11. And I know that even if the day is, complete chaos of all kinds of things happening that are way out of my control, at least I know every day at 11, this is going to be what happens. So just having some kind of anchor to tie back on. And the same thing can go for work. The same thing can go for relationships, etc. So I'm really glad to have had that information going into this. So I've got a good mindset going into, all right, I know how to deal with what blocks me is obstacles and outside, impacts. Great. I can just set a clear schedule, put the phone away for an hour, and just hit this one thing. So, single tasking as opposed to multitasking.
I love it. Yeah. And finding what solutions work for you. It sounds like you found some that are really like, hey, this really speaks to me. I can get on board with this. This feels right. This feels good. And it helps me with my goals. So I love that. And, same for anyone listening, that same for you. It's like finding what works for you, what kind of timeline or time regimen or looseness or tightness or whatever that works for you. And that's part of that self-discovery process. Like, oh, hey, wow, actually I have freedom here. I have freedom to decide. And ironically, even though we have had some of our freedom taken away in some aspects, we have other freedoms that's been given to us. So like even looking at the term of freedom and how do you hold that? And do you notice that you still have the same excuses you did even before the situation and looking at those? So it's very fascinating time. But
you can't blame traffic anymore for being late to anything.
Like, I was stuck on the freeway. But thanks for the tips. I mean, you guys have to check out Vizolutions, Inc.com, Tim Seavey. I'm going to put his name in the notes, and if you find us on LinkedIn, he'll be there too. Make sure and connect with him on LinkedIn. If you want to check out productivelearning.com, we have all the kinds of really amazing work that you can use to increase your own mindset for your business. And it's been a great session. We're going to say bye until next time. So bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.